Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Education stakeholders raise questions about ministry's summer school plan. Operational changes coming for Spanish Town Hospital following death of baby earlier this month. And later in sports, 2 of the top 3 Jamaican athletes over the 110-meter hurdles will not be in Tokyo for the Olympic Games this summer. I'm Vashan Brown and here are the details. How are you going to reach them? That question from stakeholders in the education sector to the government about students who've been off the grid throughout the school year. Their questions follow the Education Ministry's announcement of a national summer school program which gets underway on Monday. Sandy Williams has that story.
In a matter of days, the National Summer School program is slated to begin. It's part of efforts to address the learning loss resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Jasford Gabriel, says the initiative is good, but there are lingering concerns. Like, how will the ministry locate students who have been out of classes throughout the school year to attend summer classes?
It will almost have to be a manhunt to find these students, and even if you do find them, our experience suggests that in terms of attitude and interest in participating in the program for any meaningful intervention and impact will be a challenge. But the program has our blessings, and we are encouraging as many students as possible to show up and to participate. And I believe that even the students who will attend, I still don't believe the numbers are going to be great, even though we would encourage all of those who are coming out to be a part of it.
And the principal of the Yallas High School, Mark Malavva, says locating the students is one thing, but convincing them to participate will be even more challenging.
We could not find these students to come online when we had face-to-face classes. Many of them still did not come, and those who came in an ad hoc manner. So it's going to pose some serious challenges for us in terms of convincing the parents, convincing the students to come out. Mr. Gabriel believes by the end of the program, the intended goal will not be met.
It's something that we'll have to rerun come September anyway. That to me is quite clear, because September you will have the huge number of students who need the intervention rolling out and who would not have participated in the summer school. We are hoping that we'll be able to roll out for face-to-face come September.
In September, the national extra lesson classes and the national homework programs will take effect, and that too is a concern for the JTA president.
I sort of believe that the timing of it is off. It will be useful when implemented, but if you implement a program like this after extending a lot of resources to recruit different entities to help to execute the program, and also to engage different levels of teachers, including assistant teachers from the colleges, retired teachers, and whoever else can assist the program, whether we'll get value for that kind of expenditure now is really my concern.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Operational changes are slated to come into immediate effect at the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine following a probe into the case involving a woman whose baby died at the institution earlier this month. Shanique Armstrong said she delivered her baby in the waiting area of the Accident and Emergency Department with no help from staff. The Southeast Regional Health Authority, SARA, conducted a probe into the incident, which took place on June 2, and outlined some of its recommendations in a news release. More from Kimon Witter.
According to a statement from the board of SARA, the operations at the Spanish Town Hospital will be reorganized. In addition, midwives will now provide direct patient care to pregnant women, while the practice of using bedpans for a miscarriage will be discontinued. Pregnant women will instead use incontinent pads or adult diapers. Grief counseling will also be provided to women who miscarry. A case manager, public health nurse, or social worker will be assigned to assist pregnant women in the navigation of the health and social care systems. The SARA board has also decided to reorganize the care system for persons suspected to have COVID-19. This is being done to provide more space for women who are in early pregnancy. The Health Authority has instructed the Spanish Town Hospital Management Committee to ensure that the recommendations are implemented. Following the Shanique Armstrong incident, Public Defender Arlene Harrison Henry called for a review of standards for maternal care at hospitals. The Public Defender questioned whether protocols were followed in the treatment of Ms. Armstrong at the Spanish Town Hospital.
Jamaica is expected to receive over 60,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine from the Mexican government today. We're going to now touch base with Cody and Barrett, who has the latest on this matter. Cody?
I'm at the Norman Manley International Airport awaiting the arrival of 65,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has been donated from the government of Mexico. The flight was scheduled to arrive 11 a.m. this morning. However, it has been delayed and will arrive shortly after 12 p.m. instead. Until then, we will have to provide further details later in Primetime News. Back to you in studio.
All right, thank you so much, Cody. 10 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, bringing the death toll to 1,075. 6 of the COVID-19 related deaths were previously under investigation. 44 new cases of the virus were confirmed on Tuesday from 584 samples. The country's overall case count is now 50,124. The positivity rate now stands at 6.5%. In the meantime, 127 persons are hospitalized with a respiratory illness. 10 are critically ill. There are 18,617 active cases of COVID-19 in Jamaica. The Department of Correctional Services, DCS, is reporting no active COVID-19 case among its inmate population. However, vaccine hesitancy remains the main challenge in returning to normal operations. We have more in this report.
Of the over 3,700 inmates at correctional facilities island-wide, less than 10% have taken the COVID-19 vaccine. Minister without portfolio in the National Security Ministry, Matthew Samuda, says this is despite the inoculation being made available to all adult inmates.
I'm making that point to say that had they taken that vaccine, we'd have been much further down the line in terms of relaxing the sorts of restrictions that we would want to reduce. The facts are the restrictions and the protocols that we've put in place come at a cost, not just an economic cost, but the psychosocial treatment of our inmates and their own, mental state, we believe, has been affected by the lack of visitation.
Following the first case of COVID-19 in Jamaica in March last year, visits and package deliveries were suspended as a precautionary measure. Mr. Samuda says while other means for communication, to include the use of technology, were made available to relatives, they have not worked well so far.
It's just that in Jamaica, where that comes with cultural issues, the trust in that sort of communication doesn't necessarily allow for it to be used in the way that you want. We did it for additional counseling, but there's nothing like face-to-face interaction as you're trying to make the social interventions to bring about the changes you need in inmates. And Lord knows we need those changes as we try to bring down our recidivism rate.
Mr. Samuda was speaking at a handing-over ceremony for medication and sanitation supplies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Caribbean Regional Office. It's hoped that the items will help make correctional facilities safer and speed up the return to normalcy. Herman Green, TVJ News.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has linked the recent shooting in Johns Hall, St. James to inter-gang conflict. Dr. Chang has also revealed that steps are being taken to arrest the men involved, who are well known to the police.
The daring gun attack on Dam Road in Johns Hall, which left 7 persons injured, has rocked the parish of St. James. With tensions now high, patrols have increased in the area. Though concerned about the nature of Sunday's attack, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has linked the shooting to an inter-gang conflict in the community.
Dam Road and a area they call Coconut Grove burnt ground is in conflict for some. And it's one of those senseless conflict because it's not a fight over turf or anything. Apparently there are 2 strong individuals or 2 strong families. The Dam Road group and the other group end up in conflict, and it has been ongoing.
With the community now shaken by yet another shooting, there's no telling when gunmen will strike again. In addition to increased police presence, Dr. Chang says the police will be stepping up operations in search of those involved in Sunday's attack.
It involves a number of people who is allegedly involved in advanced credit fraud, lot of scamming, and that's where the source of the activity from. So there are a number of elements of the security force are paying close attention and will increase their attention at this point in time, and we expect to have results.
That commitment from the National Security Minister, but with resources already stretched, it's left to see how this will unfold.
Some have been actually taken to court and charged, but it's their right to get bail, and if they come out and bail and kill somebody, you just have to arrest them again and define them. That's the nature of the process. It's also true that you'll have to ask the prosecuting force to take greater pains to present their case for no bail to the courts.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break, but please stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It will not be business as usual for vendors in St. James. That declaration from the chairman of the St. James Municipal Corporation, Leroy Williams. More from O'Shane Masters.
Mayor of Montego Bay, Leroy Williams, is denouncing the recent attacks on the municipal police in the parish. Just last week, 2 officers were injured by vendors and subsequently hospitalized. As a result, the mayor is now looking at a number of changes to include the registration of vendors and strict enforcement of no vending zones. He says for too long, vendors have been left to ply their trade illegally in the town and stressed structure is urgently needed. And so vendors who wish to operate in the parish will have to register starting July 1.
But I must warn that there will be very stringent vending conditions.
Vendors from the parish will be given priority, as only a designated number of vendors will be registered based on space availability. Mayor Williams says other criteria will also be used in the registration process.
If you do not have your vending license, it's a no-no for you. Because as I said earlier on, there must be order in the city. It can't be a free-for-all. There must be law and order in the city. Look what happened to two of our municipal police. I mean, they were attacked by vendors, right? To the extent that they have to be hospitalized. Now, this is something that we cannot condone. This cannot continue.
Designated vending spaces will include Corner Lane, Lower Lawrence Lane, Church Lane, Lower Market Street, North Lane, and parts of Orange Street. No vending will be allowed on St. James Street. The mayor warned that persons caught vending in that area will face prosecution. Responding to questions about instituting a designated area for vending, Mayor Williams says that is a challenge.
You'll agree with me that the town of Montego Bay is very small. And really, we would love to find a place where we could place the vendors, but that is just not available. So, the enforcement officers will just have to do the enforcement consistently. It is enforcement that is really the problem why the vendors, they are where they are.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Still in St. James, the $574 million Barrett Street Fire Station in Montego Bay is on track for completion within the next 2 months. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie said despite delays due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the project is still within budget.
The contractors and those who are in charge have been able to keep the project within budget. So there is no overrun on the project, and we will complete this project in a timely manner. If we are asking the men and women of the Jamaica Fire Brigade to put their lives on the line, then at least what the government can do is to provide the facility for them to work in. A proper environment gives you the best out of the firefighters.
Now, the Barrett Street Fire Station project began in June 2019. A woman was found dead outside her home in Portland, which was set ablaze on Tuesday. Dead is 54-year-old Marcia Stewart from an Orange Bay address. Ms. Stewart, who operated a shop in the community, was discovered with multiple stab wounds. It's believed she was killed before her home was set ablaze.
Got a phone call from my mother saying that they killed her. She burned up in her house. And then when they fire out, and in her house she out the door.
She's a nice person, everybody. She agree with everybody. Every little pitney like her. Yeah. Normally when you little pitney guy shop, she always give them sweetie or give them something. So she's like a mother to all the children in the community.
Now, residents say they alerted the Buff Bay Fire Station, but were told that they were unable to respond as they were without a unit. A truck from the Onoto Bay Fire Station in St. Mary later responded, but could only offer cooling down exercise. Now, the police are investigating. We go now to news overseas. Bill Cosby's sex assault conviction will be overturned, and the 83-year-old comedian will be released from prison after the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court issued an opinion to vacate his conviction on Wednesday. Pennsylvania's highest court overturned the conviction after finding an agreement with a previous prosecutor prevented Cosby from being charged in the case. The Supreme Court reviewed two aspects of the case that Cosby's lawyers challenged. Now, the first involved the judge's decision to let prosecutors call 5 other accusers in addition to Andrea Constant. Now, Cosby had been accused of drugging and molesting Constant at his estate in 2004. He was charged in 2015 for the alleged attack and arrested just days before the 12-year statute of limitations expired. And for the latest in the economy, here now is Cody and Barrett with the Business Minute.
The Business Minute, brought to you by...
The global economy could lose over $4 trillion due to the impact of COVID-19 on tourism, according to a report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. Economic losses are mounting in developing countries due to the absence of widespread COVID-19 vaccinations. The tourism sector's recovery is heavily dependent on the uptake of COVID-19 vaccines globally. Developing countries account for up to 60% of the global GDP losses. The report also warned that up to $1.8 trillion in losses are expected in 2021. While the tourism sector is expected to recover faster in countries with high vaccination rates, experts say they don't expect a return to pre-COVID-19 international tourist arrival levels until 2023 or later. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ is advising the public that several of the tax authority's online service features will be suspended beginning 7 p.m. Friday, July 2 to 7 a.m. Monday, July 5, 2021. This is to facilitate maintenance work on a section of its online platform to improve business experience. Taxpayers who conduct business using the Revenue Administration Information System will not be able to conduct their usual online transactions during that period. Persons are therefore being encouraged to conduct their transactions ahead of the scheduled system downtime. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
The Business Minute, brought to you by...
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In this evening's health report, we'll take a look at the Delta variant of the COVID virus.
The positivity rate in Jamaica continues to fall. Our population is very sensitized to the coronavirus. Even though there is a tremendous amount of complacency, I believe that should new threats arise, that we would be able to respond a little bit better. We have a little bit better capacity to deal with it. So I remain optimistic that it would be coming to a close. Now, this is not meaning that we'll return to a normal life in short order, but we will be getting closer and closer to normalcy.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Stay home as much as you can. Keep a safe distance. Wash hands often. Cover your cough. And sick, call ahead.
We now go to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports report, and Simon Preston is standing by.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Two of the top three Jamaican athletes over the 110-meter hurdles will not be in Tokyo for this summer's Olympic Games, with Rashid Broadwell set to miss out on selection despite seeking a medical exemption from last week's National Senior Championships. Renata Brown reports.
Rashid Broadwell, who was the second fastest Jamaican ahead of the championships, had sought a medical exemption from the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association following an injury he sustained 2 weeks ago. Being third in the world at the time, it was felt that once he could prove fitness, he would be considered for selection. However, a document seen by TVJ Sports has revealed that the top three athletes at the national championships, those being Ronald Levy, Damian Thomas and Hansa Parchment, have been listed to contest the event, with fourth place finisher Philip Lemonius named as an alternate athlete. Broadwell joins reigning Olympic champion Omar McLeod, who finished last in the event at the championships, as big names to miss out. The 62-member team is made up of 33 women, including reigning world 100-meter champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price and defending double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah. Renata Brown for TVJ Sports.
Everton have appointed former Liverpool boss Rafael Benitez as their new manager. The 61-year-old Spaniard has signed a 3-year deal and succeeds Carlo Ancelotti, who resigned in early June to return to Real Madrid. Benitez last managed in the Premier League at Newcastle United before leaving in June 2019. The last time Everton won a trophy was in 1995. Now, Jamaica has taken a 2-0 lead over the US Virgin Islands in the opening game of the 2021 Davis Cup in Panama. Randy Phillips gave Jamaica the lead with a 6-1, 6-love win over Russell Armstrong. Blaise Bicknell doubled Jamaica's lead with a 6-2, 6-3 win over Thomas Del Olmo. Jamaica are in Group C of the Americas Group 3 alongside Puerto Rico, Panama and the US Virgin Islands. Jamaica will face Panama in their second group game on Thursday. Only the top two from the division will be promoted to Group 2 in 2022. And finally, Jamaican Stephanie Taylor will lead the West Indies women in their first T20 international since September last year, when they faced Pakistan in the first of 3 T20s in Antigua. The match bowls off at 1 o'clock Jamaica time. Taylor is one of 3 Jamaicans in the 13-member squad, with the others being Chanel Henry and Shadeen Nation. The rest of the squad reads Captain Anissa Mohammed, Alia Alain, that's Vice-Captain Anissa Mohammed rather, Alia Alain, Shamilia Connell, Brittany Cooper, Deandra Dottin, Kaisia Knight, Kishona Knight, Hayley Matthews, Karishma Ramharak and Shakira Selman. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Vashan, it's over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Simon. So that first story that you read, remember when Omar McLeod had his mishap, I would say, at the championships on the weekend? He'd said he was still looking forward to competing in Tokyo. What's the latest with that?
Well, the rules are the rules. He didn't finish in the top 3, so therefore he wouldn't get a chance to defend his Olympic title like he did in Rio 2016. It's one of those things in the sport. It's quite a cutthroat sort of industry. He didn't finish in the top 3, so he won't be at the Olympics.
All right, thank you so much, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashan Brown. Join us at 7 for a Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.